Now, what are we talking about? The concept of API. What is API? Any questions so far? Concepts are clear so far? Okay, so now what is it that we refer to when we say API? So it is short for Application Programming Interface. Now the particular word of interface has a lot of different meanings within the software context. Okay, so in this, generally speaking, an interface is like a medium between two interacting parties. Okay, so in this context, we have someone that provides the service and someone that wants the service. So how can I request this service? Like the service that I want is code, is programming application. It's not just data or just HTML file. Okay, now how can I request a service that is a programming application to be executed? Now they will tell me, the provider of the service will tell me, you need to use this name and send this input, and you will expect this output. So that's pretty much the concept of the API. How do I connect to that service? Now, even the API itself may have different, so in the context of cloud services, for example, we would define it as the mechanisms that enable two software components to communicate with each other using a set of definitions and protocols. For example, the Weather Bureau software system contains daily weather data. The data app on your phone talks to this system via APIs. Okay, so when you are just when there is a service, a programming application that is offered as a service, it will give you the interface that tells you how to access the service. Okay. So we talk about function. So it will appear as a function call. Okay. Whether it's internally just a simple function or much more than that, it will appear as a function call. So when you have a library like func2, for example, that you use to refer to the reduce function or use a reduce function in it. So some people would look at the libraries like this as APIs as well. And then the functions that are available in these libraries are like, when you look at the definition of the function and name the function, the input that goes to the function, and then what is the expected output, you are talking about the interface of that function. Okay. Now, REST APIs are APIs accessible through the HTTP protocol. Okay, so it's not just that you're requesting to see an HTML page. You are requesting to execute a function that would run on the server, and after it's done, you get the result. So we can send a GET or POST request, not to see some content, but to ask the server to execute some code or execute some program or some application. Okay. So this definition is coming from AWS. So you know, AWS is the cloud service of Amazon, and a lot of applications that are provided as a service with accessible through APIs are accessible through cloud services. So it is very fitting that we talk about cloud computing as an introduction. What is cloud computing and what does it mean? How to work with it? Okay. Any questions so far? Okay, so what is cloud computing? Now, the term cloud can seem a little bit elusive. When you say cloud, it might seem like something not very rigid, like the actual cloud, but actually, it is so far from the cloud technical term. So the term cloud in general may indicate something vague or elusive, but the technical cloud is something different. So technical cloud is just two main aspects. There's hardware, there's some devices, computational devices, and then there's some software component on top of it that makes the details of the hardware or accessing the resources in the hardware hidden behind that software. So if there is any flexibility there that resembles the actual cloud, is the fact that you don't know what's happening behind it. So when you store some data on a Dropbox, for example, now Dropbox is a cloud service. You don't know where it is stored. You don't worry about whether the hard drive might get corrupt. You don't worry about losing your data because they are doing frequent backups and like doing all the necessary work to maintain your data. Okay, so behind the cloud service, there's actual hardware, actual computers. Okay, and then there's software that makes access to these sophisticated hardware very easy. So if you want to know what an actual technical cloud looks like, it looks pretty much like this. It's a data center, basically. So if you want to see something, you will see a data center, really. So building, and inside the building, some computers are stored there. So this is the data center of Facebook. This is not necessarily from the same inside, but the concept is the same. So you have a building that stores some servers stored generally in a set of racks. So a rack is like kind of a closet. Inside the rack, there are some compute units. If you look at the actual one compute unit, it's pretty much a computer. If you ever opened a desktop, if you have a desktop and you open the case of the desktop, you will see something like this. There's a hard drive, there's a processor, and there's some memory and some cables and stuff. That's pretty much what a compute unit is. A computer, just computer. So the data center is the set of very sophisticated, very powerful computers connected with each other. Okay, so that's the hardware part. Now, in order to make these sophisticated, powerful computers accessible, we need software layer. Okay, and that's what make the cloud as a cloud. So the software is what, well, the software is the cloud that hides the hardware behind it. And then you just say, I want a storage, I want to access GPU. Okay, you don't know where it is or where does it come from. It doesn't matter to you. You just access these sophisticated resources with the least effort from you. Okay, so all these resources, either hardware or software, are offered as a service. So examples of popular cloud services, the Dropbox. And now in the Microsoft Office, the Office 365 is actually a cloud application. Okay, Google Drive and others as well. It's very popular and it keeps getting more and